Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Here's How I Blackboarded. This time we're tackling Glacial Trail, where the gimmick is that every 10 rounds, your towers get frozen for 2 rounds. Thankfully, the new hero Silas is immune to this effect, as well as Ice Monkeys, who Silas happens to buff. And if you combine these two towers together, Glacial Trail goes from an expert map to a beginner map in my opinion. It really is that easy. But of course, we actually have to save up for Silas, and so we're going for the patent triple dart start. Going to be putting these dart monkeys here, as I do want to save all the space in the back for all the ice towers I do plan on getting. In my testing, this setup is able to save up for Silas, although it is a bit close. And I also think this might be a little bit RNG dependent, but oh well. I don't really mind restarting in the early rounds when doing kind of black border runs. But as soon as we get Silas, our early game is going to be pretty set, as he's pretty solid for kind of early game shenanigans. Yeah, as you can see, we kind of lost our RNG debacle, so we're going to have to restart. And it seems like we were able to beat round 9 this time, so yep, it is RNG. Thankfully, I think we're able to afford Silas in the middle of round 10, as there is kind of a lot of blues before the huge blue wave shows up, and we only got to save up for, what, 920? So yeah, we're going to have to get Silas down fairly early, like around here, so I want to get him like here-ish. And then we're going to just get nothing but Ice Monkeys after this. Well, not really after this, because even though Silas is pretty good for early game, he does basically nothing to the bad balloon, so we're going to need some help against that. But first things first, I want to save up for icicles, which is what I'm going to be using to get to the mid-game, get through the mid-game, I mean. And even though, you know, kind of getting a base Ice Monkey down isn't really an amazing defending tower, thankfully, Silas is pretty strong enough that we can actually get away with doing this. And even though I do believe that the whatchamacallits are going to get frozen soon, yeah, on round 15, I think we should be fine. Anyways, let me just kind of grab some of this stuff. We eventually want to make our way towards Icicle Impale, obviously, as again, pretty decent tier 5. Now I don't feel completely safe saving up for Icicle Impale now. I do want to get another Ice Monkey like around here-ish, as well as kind of around here-ish, but let me just make sure I got the spacing correct, so... This is going to be kind of unupgraded, but it's just in case, just catch any leaks. We also do have some Silas abilities that we can use. He does have 3, which the first one, I'm actually not really sure what it does. Guess I can always take a quick look. Hits all balloons while active. When hitting frozen balloons, target takes extra damage based on remaining freezing time. Pretty cool. And I do think it is kind of nice that Ice Monkeys did receive some love, as I always kind of felt like Ice Monkeys were just kind of lacking. There was a point in time where like, not super glue, Icicle Impale was just a straight up better super glue. I think that's not really the case anymore. And the other Ice Monkeys were just kind of, super brittle is okay with, it's not, I wouldn't say it's okay, but it's pretty good with Tax Zone. But other than that, there's nothing like really stand out. Thankfully Silas can hit the camo, going to get Cold Snap as we do need some sort of lead popping. Now Zebras might be a little bit annoying. I think Silas does make white balloons, yeah, a little bit vulnerable to freezing attacks, just kind of like Striker Jones with black balloons. And it is nice that, you know, not having to worry about, you know, when to place towers down or to prevent them from being frozen at inopportune times. This is kind of the reason why I kind of waited this long to actually do Glacial Trail, just because I didn't really kind of feel like, you know, kind of thinking of when I should place towers down in order to prevent them from getting frozen during bad times. But thankfully we now have someone like Silas along to where I don't really have to think about that anymore. Although I guess you could see it as kind of a bad thing, having to not really engage with the main mechanic of the map, which is, you know, stuff getting frozen. But at the same time, it's kind of annoying. Also, Icicles should be coming up pretty soon. I guess just in time for 32, I guess. Anyways, Icicles now. Now we got that, early game is pretty much set, as Icicles can carry us for a little while. I will say Moabs are going to be a bit scary. We are going to have to rely on some Silas abilities up until we get Embrittlement up. As I definitely do want Embrittlement, but before that I do want to get a second icicles. Yeah, so we're going for the double icicle strategy, as Silas does allow you to get multiple ice tier 5s. My second icicle is up now, pretty good. Now I want to start making my way towards embrittlement. Get you like here. Not really an amazing embrittlement spot, but there's not really any other place where I can kind of put it. And I did say space because I do also want to get absolute 0. I do kind of want to do an axis of ice here. Let's see, this guy shouldn't be too bad. Going to use frostbite so we can get that extra damage going in. And then the ceramic should be just fine. Perfect. I definitely want to make my way towards embrittlement to get that extra damage on Moabs. As well as ice shards can also help out quite a lot for mid-game stuff. And then from there I want to save up for our first tier 5, which is going to be Icicle Impale. Embrittlement now. I actually can't remember if we even make enough to be able to afford Super Brittle. As Super Brittle, if I can't afford it, would be the last tier 5 I'd go for. I would want to go for absolute 0 first. As in my testing, I only did like 1.5 runs. Like I did one run, just getting through the game to make sure the strategy works. And then I did like kind of half of a run, just to optimize early game a little bit, just to not spend as much money. And believe it or not, this defense is actually enough to be able to easily get through the mid game. It's just, you know, you have to use Silas abilities, especially once you get to like round 60 and the BFB gets here. But like anything other than that, we should be fine. Fortified Moabs can also be a little bit of a problem. So here comes round 50, which brings in our second Moab. I don't think we need the frostbite. No, but it is kind of close. Just like I kind of expected. You know, if this middle ice glacier here wasn't there, that would be a really perfect embrittlement spot. Although I think, you know, just having that removed would probably decrease the difficulty of the map so much that you could probably put it down to advanced because of that. Anyways, this round has 2 Moabs. I'm actually going to use Frostbite, just to help out a little bit. And we're only 12k away from Impale. I don't think you get it at 463, but I don't really need it before 63. This round is interesting. I'm not going to use Frostbite yet. I want to wait until the last mob kind of gets in range, so somewhere like now. Freeze that, please. Thank you. Ability timings is going to be kind of crucial here, if we want to say a mid-game for Impale. The first Moab I think can be taken out without an ability. The last Moab is going to be a bit annoying. Use Frostbite. There we go. Alright, Icicle Impale is going to be gotten here. I think we get it just for the BFB, which is perfect. Perfect. So I guess we don't actually need ability timings for the BFB. And so now you really just kind of sit back and wait, as Impale can easily handle everything. The only downside about this strategy is that it's just slow, since you kind of have to wait until all of the kind of balloons kind of get in range of your towers. And so now we actually are going to wait until Silas reaches level 13, which is where he gains the ability for, or he allows you to now get more Ice Monkey tier 5s. And then we're going to get a second Icicle Impale then. Anyways, now that Silas has reached level 13 on round 74, we can actually get another Icicle Impale, and if you can see the price, it's actually much cheaper. It is now 24,000, where our first one was 32,000. Meaning that we can actually get 2 Impales before the ZMG on round 80. I think, you know, Silas might be getting a little bit of a nerf, if I had to guess. Although, I mean, if you're not using Ice Monkeys, I wouldn't say he's bad. I think he could still be pretty decent. He does have kind of an Arctic wind effect around him. You know, seems a little bit strong, but who knows, I'm not really in Kiwi's head when it comes to balancing. Anyways, we're going to be getting our absolute 0 here, because this is the only space I can actually fit it. I think we might actually be able to get all of the Ice Monkey tier 5s, because this is cheaper. I completely forgot about the fact that Silas makes things cheaper, so this is 22,000. I believe it was around 30,000. Absolute 0 I believe is around 20 or 19,000, and I think after the price cut, I think it's like 12. Yeah, after the price cut, Snowstorm is a little shy of 13,000, around 12,000. Pretty nice, pretty nice. I do wonder if Ninja Q would ever allow more than just Ice Monkeys and Dart Monkeys to have more than 2 tier 5s? I can imagine the answer would probably be no, as I think having multiple of any of the tier 5s other than kind of primaries would be kind of busted. And I guess I can see why Ninja Q kind of chose some of the more weaker primary monkeys for having multiple tier 5s. Like, I think maybe having like 2 Glaive Lords could be pretty busted, 2 Mob Doms could also be pretty busted. Like, having 2 Tax Zones I think would absolutely shred, 2 Inferno Rings I think could also be pretty nutty. I think also maybe potentially having like 2, I don't know if 2 Elite Defenders would be busted, but I mean, I don't know. 2 biggest ones I think could also be pretty busted too. I do know that there is a unfinished tower in the files of FTDZ called the Monkey Academy, which I think does allow you to have multiple Magic Monkey tier 5s. Which I mean, I can kind of see why Ninja Q hasn't put that in the game yet, because if that is true, it is to be trusted. That's kind of busted. Not gonna lie, it would be kind of busted. Anyways, ZMG is here. I am kind of worried about it, so just going to use Snowstorm at the start. Probably don't need to, but oh well, it makes me feel safe. We are like around like 3k away from absolute zero. And Impale is easily cleaning this up just fine. Ice Shards isn't really kind of contributing as much as I thought it would have. Only having 16k at this point in the game, not really as much. And so with rounds 81 plus, I don't think this really should be too much. I honestly think that the super ceramics that spawn now are probably easier to deal with than normal ceramics, just so that way, or just because we have less balloons to deal with. And Absolute Zero does have the ability to increase the attack speed of all monkeys. This isn't really an ability that you would kind of notice normally, just because I don't really think anyone's kind of synergizing Absolute Zero with other ice monkeys. They're really just kind of using it just for the global slowdown. But now you can actually see that ability shine. We are definitely going to be using it for rounds like 98. We do need the attack speed to survive that round. We also do need some of Silas's abilities as well. Even with all this, 98 still is a problem round, which I guess shouldn't really surprise too much. Waste 2 ZMGs this round, just going to use Absolute Zero for that increased attack speed. Just to help us a little bit against this. And it is nice that Absolute Zero's cooldown is so fast, so you can really kind of spam this build if you wanted to. Anyway, Super Battle now on 86. And it's pretty early to kind of have our axis of tier 5s. So we could really spend our money on anything else if we really wanted to. Although I do kind of want to mainly go for ice DPS, so I'm not going to get anything else. Actually, I do need first strikes for around 100 because we do like next to no bad damage. I'm not going to get them down just yet. I think I'll probably wait until like round 98 just to make sure I don't screw myself. And so that way I actually have the ability up for around 100. Anyways, 4 ZMGs now. I think I could still get away with only maybe using Frostbite and Absolute Zero's ability, so I'll use it like now, pretty early. I'll use Frostbite like, I guess, now-ish. I'll use Absolute Zero again for that increased attack speed. And there we go. Easy. And both of our abilities are up for 84, which is nice. Which does have ZMGs that spawn in naturally. I think we can handle everything until the ZMGs come in, so it's going to save my Absolute Zero until then. Round 89, there's a lot of fortified mobs here, which can actually hurt runs a lot. In Black Border runs, round 89 is usually the kind of round that kind of hurts me the most. There's also, of course, like, you know, the obvious problem rounds, like, you know, 95, 99, 98, those rounds. But 89 is kind of a secret killer, really just because the long line of fortified mobs that show up. They aren't strong individually, but there's just so much of them. DDT rounds are basically a joke. Double Icicle Impale absolutely demolishes them. If you are struggling with DDTs, Icicle Impale is pretty good against them. Just make sure, you know, you have like Cold Snap or you have like a village or something, so that way Icicle Impale can actually see the camo balloons. 94 is kind of a mini 98, so I guess we can kind of see how we do here. Shouldn't be too bad. I can use Frostbite and Absolute Zero ability. So I'll use Absolute Zero ability, and then I guess I'll use Frostbite now. I might need to use Ice Wall, level 10, just to prevent from being overwhelmed. Although we're not really getting overwhelmed right now, at the moment, which is good. Use an Absolute Zero ability when it comes up. And I think I'm okay with getting in another level 3 Frostbite, just because 95's next round. And we do have some time before the DTs actually come in. Not that the DTs are actually scary or anything. So just going to use this, cause why not? I don't think 96 should be too bad. They're getting kind of far. I'll use Frostbite, just in case. Anyways, I think I'm going to place down my things now. I could save up for preemptive. Probably the hardest round here. Most definitely the hardest round. Anyways, I don't think it should be too bad. It should not be too bad. We do have like all the abilities to use here. And you know, don't be kind of afraid to use them, as we're not really going to need them for 99, or they're just going to be up for 99. And we just want to kind of clear out everything so we just don't kind of get blocked, is kind of the main issue. It's definitely going to be Pierce here. Since we don't really have access to kind of primary training, we just want to make sure that we don't actually get anything blocked before the kind of ZMGs roll in. This is feeling pretty good right now. Frostbite timing is going to be kind of crucial here. Do I want to use it now? I think we've destroyed like 2 of the ZMGs, which is good. I'm going to use Frostbite now. See how that does. We have another Absolute Zero ability coming in, which is pretty good. You may not even need to use Ice Wall here, but again, if I need to, I'll use it. I have this, buy that, so it's up for, whatchamacallit, I don't remember what round I bought it on. Hopefully it's up for 100. And if it's not, that's fine. We just have Moabs left, which is pretty good. Nice. And then for the DTs, you know, we can use all of our abilities here. So I could slow it down with AZ. And then there's only like a few fortified DTs left. You know, yeah. Then round 100 should be no problem with all of this kind of stuff. Okay, I did make sure to kind of leave it up, so I'll just kind of use these 2 immediately. And then this should pop fairly early. Or at least be down to nothing. And we should be able to easily kind of clean up the rest, so I'll use that. I'll use Frostbite. And the ZMG should be no problem. I'll even use Ice Wall. Okay, I haven't used it yet. I'll use this ability. And then there's just these 2 Cermix left. And boom. Pretty fitting, I guess, Instant Monkey, something that freezes. And that was that. It's probably the easiest extra map black border you can probably do right now. Silas is absolutely busted on this map. Just having a bunch of ice monkeys really does make this, you know, pretty trivial. And of course, just to prove that I actually did black border this, here it is, Glacial Trail. So yeah, that was pretty fun. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Join Discord, the link is down below in the description. Have a nice day, everyone. Be sure to get your Silas fun in before he maybe gets nerfed. I wouldn't be surprised if he did.